Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and this video is just going to be a fun look back at what the game was like on launch, what it was like back in the day. I know a lot of you are new to Raid, or maybe have only been playing for like 6 months to a year and may not know what Raid was actually like back when it launched and the game was super new and didn't have a big following yet. So we're just going to have a quick look back at what it was like back in that time playing Raid. So let's get into it. Alrighty, so first of all, my channel was not even going to be about Raid. Now, this video is not going to be about the evolution of my channel or anything, but just a funny backstory. There wasn't really a content creation scene for Raid. There wasn't any, like, big-name established YouTubers covering Raid back in the early days, and I was a content creator for Diablo 3. That was my main game at the time. When I made this channel, my goal, that's why my first Raid video right here that you're seeing was a review slash should you play. I'm just playing it on my iPad and I'm talking about what I think about it so far. The original concept for my channel was I'm gonna download a game, play it for 10 or 20 hours, and then I'm gonna let you know what I think about it so that you can decide really quick in a 10 or 15 minute video if it's something you would want to try or not. That was the original concept for this channel that I created, was just to review games and help people decide really quickly if they want to invest their time in trying something out or not. But I ended up getting sucked in by Raid and ended up getting kind of hooked on it and thought, you know what, why don't I make a couple more videos about Raid? And then boom, fast forward a few years and here I am, where now I transitioned from Diablo 3 to making Raid as my main game. So actually on my Diablo 3 channel, I made a video saying, hey, it's time for me to move on. I'm going to be retiring from Diablo 3 and I'm going to be moving on to a new game called Raid Shadow Legends. That's what I'm going to be covering full time. And there you see I pulled up a picture of actually the night Diablo 3 was released. It was kind of an emotional video. You know, Diablo 3 was a massive part of my life, and I really hated saying goodbye to the Diablo 3 community and kind of stopping Diablo, but I knew I wouldn't have time for multiple games to kind of run a YouTube channel and do two things full time, so I had to kind of choose, and Raid was the new thing that I was getting into. But anyway, that's just a quick kind of a little wrap up of how we got from that point to this point in terms of my channel. And that kind of segues me into what the content creation scene was like back then. Obviously I'm gonna forget something, but I'm gonna try my best to remember what it was like back then. I think the main creation scene out the gate was like me and Darth Microtransaction and Stu Gaming. Kizzle was in there pretty early. You may or may not know him. He's been off and on covering Raid for the last couple years. There was Salt was making a lot of videos. SK Nova is an old school name that was making videos. Then there was like Incredible John, and I'm probably missing a couple others, but there really wasn't. It was more of a blossoming like new creator type scene. There wasn't like big full-time massive established content creators covering Raid other than like random sponsored spots. The first one to actually make content on Raid of their own volition, like not being paid to do so, like actually because they liked the game, was probably Ash, who still to this day is a big part of the Raid community and covers it on a daily basis. I actually did a sponsored series with him on his main channel. His like Clash Royale was his main game on that channel, and he did a sponsored spot for Raid, like a 5-video series. So I hopped on over to his channel to kind of walk him through the basics of Raid while he was getting a new account up and running for like 5 videos. And then he ended up liking it. And he was like, you know what? I like this game. I like the community. I think I'm actually going to give this a go without being sponsored and just kind of start playing it. So I think Ash was the first like established big name on YouTube to really come into the Raid content creator scene. And then as far as playing Raid, it was much simpler back then. Right now you're watching me kind of grinding and finishing up my my Faction Wars dailies here during the video, but Faction Wars was not in the game. Dungeons were capped out at level 15. Like there was no Doom Tower, so you weren't having to grind all those silver keys and use those before the daily reset. Like it was much simpler to play the game. There wasn't all these different branches released that you kind of had to focus on between Faction Wars and Tag Team Arena and Doom Tower. It was much simpler to just kind of log in, do your dailies, and be done. And probably the craziest difference between now and back then, where if you're a newer player, thank goodness you never had to deal with this. But clans were extremely toxic and very hard to run efficiently, because the way the clan boss obviously is one of the best sources for consistent rewards in the game. Getting epic books, legendary books, getting shards, getting decent gear with the cruel and the immortal. The clan boss is something everybody wants to get the most amount of rewards they can from. And the way the clan boss worked back then was, let's say your clan is hitting the Nightmare clan boss and it's got 652 million HP. When that HP is gone, no one else can attack. So what this created was a system where if you did extra damage on top of what you needed to get your chest for the day, like here on Nightmare, the max chest is 39.2 million basically. So anything that you did extra over 39.2 million was basically just hurting your teammates, because everyone else is screwed because you're doing extra damage and they're not going to be able to get their damage in. So it ended up being like a race of who can jump up and wake up early in the morning and get their clan boss keys in and get their max rewards, and then everybody else is kind of left screwed. And you couldn't see a running total. Like right now when you do a clan boss key, it's got a running total of your current damage. We didn't have that. So you had no idea. So you're like, I'm sorry guys, I would leave, but I don't want to like waste my key and end up 500k short of my max rewards. Then I got to spend 100 gems to get a key just to do 500k damage. So like everybody would end up doing extra damage because you're playing it safe. You don't have an in-game counter. And then what happened is you'd have clans fighting, like you did 5 extra million and screwed me over from getting my max chest. Like I had good friends that I was in a clan with for months, like people that I talked to on a daily basis, that I like lost over this type of stuff. Like people fighting and bickering, and so screwed me over and you didn't kick them, and like it was so toxic. So they finally changed that, gave us the in-game damage counter, and they made it so you can attack the clan boss infinite times even after the HP is gone, which honestly was one of the best changes they ever did to Raid. And if you weren't around back then, you never experienced how toxic and awful clans were because of how the clan boss system worked. And there was no long-term like login reward system where you've got day 30, day 60, day 90, and it goes all the way up and then actually never stops. After 271 plus, you hit the system that you see I have right here. There was none of that in the game. After you hit those first initial login rewards, I think it was like the first week or two when you get Jizo and Shaman. I think after that it ended. Maybe it was the first 30 days. I don't remember to be 100% positive, but there definitely was no established long-term login reward clan or daily login reward system that would be permanent no matter how long you played. Another big difference is there wasn't always tournaments and events. It was just kind of like they would randomly show up and once or twice a week, and there'd be a little like champ training event or artifact enhancement event. Very rarely was there like multiple things at the same time. So there wasn't always tournaments and events going on for something to focus on in game. It was like more of a once or a week type of thing, if I remember right, where it'd be like, oh, okay, cool, there's an event going on. Let me make sure I upgrade some artifacts during this or get some champion training done. Whereas now it's much more consistent and on a pretty decent rotation, especially the champion training, where it seems like we've always got a champion training tournament or event going on. So what happened was we just kind of ended up pulling shards. Like you would summon shards at the normal rate without a 10x, without a 2x, you would just kind of pull shards because you didn't know. It wasn't like now where we know, like, okay, there's a 2x this weekend and then a 10x next week, and then there's going to be a 2x for the, like, no, it was just like, oh, there's a 2x, like, that might not happen again for 3 months. I better hurry up and pull shards. You had no clue what the rotation was, how it was going to be, and so everybody just kind of ended up pulling shards whenever. It wasn't an organized system where, like, you did summoning parties, like, it's a 2x void, let's do a bunch of shards on stream and have a bunch of people pull shards together. It was just kind of more random of people yanking shards whenever. And I'm not going to cover every single change. That would be like a 30-minute video that maybe I'll get to at some point and just chronicle like the timeline of Raid and everything that's changed. I'm just kind of trying to go over what it was like playing back then. And storage space was a massive, massive issue. Imagine taking all of your storage space and cutting it in half. Right now I've got 1,000, and people are usually full at 1,000 once they've been playing for a little bit. Try staying below 500. It was brutal. Like people were muling gear, like putting gear on champions they have in the vault, just to try and hang on to good pieces because there was no storage space. It was the same thing for accessories. I think they took it from like 500 to 700 first, and then they bumped up to 1,000 or something. But yeah, it used to be 500 for each, and it was brutal to stay under that. And in terms of gearing, it was actually also way tougher to build champions, because when you're going to build a champion, you just had to go through all of your gear. Like, you had no filter system. There was nothing here to like sort by, oh, okay, I'm building an arena nuker, let me sort by attack, percent chest, okay, cool. Like, no, there was none of that. You just had to go through all of your gear and be like, okay, so all my chest pieces, let me see here. Okay, this one's attack percent, cool. Let me remember, there's one right there in that set. And let me check the chest pieces here. Okay, there's none, no attack percent chest there, none there. Okay, where was that one chest piece that had attack? So there was no Hell Hades gear optimizer. There was no in-game filter. You just kind of had to go by raw memory and just manually going through all of your gear every time you built a champion. So yeah, that's some of the main things that stick out to me in terms of what being in the raid community was like back then at the beginning. If you've been around for a while, if you're an OG, I would love to hear your perspective as well down in the comment sections. I really enjoy reading that type of stuff, just how it was like for you and how you feel compared to back then. At some point, it might be fun to really go through and dive into everything, like the power creep of the champions. Draco used to be trash. Mashaled was garbage. A lot of people said Mashaled was the worst legendary in the game. So there's been power creep on a bunch of different champions. Lots of new insane epics that have come into the game, which really change how the game functions. Level 20 dungeons, 6-star gear, legendary gear, just like 100 changes to go over. It might be fun to chronicle all that at some point in time, but just wanted to throw this out there as a fun look back at what it was like from my perspective back then playing Raid, and how it kind of compares to what the game is like now for some of you that are newer to the channel or newer to the Raid community. So as always, thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.